Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and greetings to everyone. My name is Muhammad Nur Faisal Baharudin, and in this video you are going to learn more about the Massive Open Online Courses or MOOC for BSR205 Building Surveying Practice 1, focusing on module number 1 entitled Introduction to Building Surveying. Today, we will cover on topic number 1, which is building surveying practice in Malaysia. But before anything else, I would like to remind you to please be on your most comfortable place, and of course, I demand for your attention during this learning session. Let's start. First and foremost, before we look in detail about building surveying practice in Malaysia, why do we need a building surveyor? Do you remember the awful tragedy at Highland Tower in 1993? Let's watch this video, which prepared by the Star Graphic. Before we proceed to the next slide, condolence to all the family. Our prayers and thoughts are with those injured and with the families of those killed and missing in the awful tragedy at Highland Tower in 1993. For today's topic learning outcome or TLO, at the end of the class, for TLO number 1, students are able to explore a current practice for building surveying in Malaysia. For TLO number 2, students are able to identify the roles and responsibility of building surveyors. For your information, there are several topic content outline that we will cover by today. First, why do we need a building surveyor? Second, topic content outline, which is to identify what are the topics that we will cover for today. Third, why building surveyor is important. Then followed by building surveying worldwide, then building surveying in Malaysia, and then building surveying definition, and 4D, building surveying, which is justification of service, and BS scope of works, then followed by BS roles and responsibilities, and BS statutory for legislation and regulation. Just to remind you, aside from this video, you also have a learning activities such as resources available, self-assessment quiz, and self-assessment feedback, and then assess current performance for this lecture. I hope that you can enjoy during this learning process and activities. Let's move to the next slide. Why a building surveyor is so important? Generally, the existence of the building surveyor is give a significant impact in the most country. The main roles and responsibilities of building surveyor can be triggered at all phases in building construction, starting from inspection and recommend building plan approval at the local authority, and then followed by site and construction for the quality inspection for during construction, and monitoring of the building performance for the whole building during post-construction. Make a building surveyor is the most preferable profession at worldwide. Moreover, the existence of building surveyor is to overcome the issues of maintenance of the buildings. Based on newspaper cutting by NST or Newsread Time, 5th January 2007, first class policies but poor delivery, and then followed by Parliament roof in bad conditions in NST 18 May 2007, make a demand for the building surveyor to become one of the most important professions nowadays. When you look at the newspaper cutting, one of the biggest challenges in building management is building maintenance. With a proper plant maintenance, which involve a periodical inspection or regular inspection at a certain period of time, it will be ensured that all the buildings are safe. Let's move to the next slide. Building surveying worldwide. Building surveying is not a new profession in the world. In United Kingdom, building surveying was established by RICS or Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyor and defined scope during the Public Housing Refurbishment Program in 1970s. In Australia, building surveyor involved in building control engage in dilapidation analysis, new and historical building. Furthermore, in Hong Kong, building survey most recognized within Asians, it involved in public and private housing scheme in all phases of construction. Significantly, building surveyors oversees a building sites, measure a building conditions, and advise all aspects of built environment and land use. And the building survey role is to ensure that building fits its form as it was intended for the client, customer, and investor. So how about development of building surveying in Malaysia? In 1950s, Dewan Bandaraya Kuala Lumpur or Kuala Lumpur City Hall and Penang City Council was established a post of building surveyor. 20 years later, Petaling Jaya Municipal Council or MBPJ, Majlis Bandaraya Petaling Jaya, has followed the step. Around 1970s, scope of work, which is part under Valuation Act 1972, was established. And then MBSB in 1973, and all the building surveyor can practice under private practice consultancy and general practice in 1978. In 1989, BS scope of service was gazetted. In 1990s, Royal Institution of Surveyors Malaysia or RISM was introduced a professional diploma examination. Other than that, local university also started a BS program at IPTA or Higher Learning Institution. In 2008, Public Works Department or Jabatan Kerja Raya started employment of BS. Then in 2012, Malaysia Qualification Agency or MQA worked on standard program and enforced in 2014 for diploma in building surveying in Malaysia. Therefore, this is the chronology of building surveying development in Malaysia starting from 1950s until now. Now, let's take a look of building surveyor definition. A professional building surveyor is a qualified person by examination and experience and a member of Royal Institution of Surveyors Malaysia and hold the SR title or surveyor title as prefix to their name, based on Royal Institution of Surveyors Malaysia 2021. For the next slide, what type of service that can be offered by building surveyor? For justification of the services, building surveyor can serve in the several ways. First, building control and building completion inspection. Next, building maintenance management. Third, building dilapidation and condition survey. And last but not least, post-occupancy evaluation. For building control and building completion inspection, when the service is needed. So the service is needed during obtained building plans approval and certificate of fitness for occupancy, which is CFO. Why the service of BS is needed? Is to overcome problems of abandoned project, delay and non-compliance of building laws. How a building surveyor can contribute? A building surveyor can contribute to inspect the needs of building laws and protect public or stakeholder interests. So this is one of the examples of service that can be offered by building surveyor. Meanwhile, for building maintenance management, when the services is needed, a building surveyor need to join a consultant team which is in the design process during construction and after completion and occupation. It is actually to overcome a building dilapidation, a building defect and deterioration and not properly maintained. It also to promote or cultivate a maintenance culture as well. As a building surveyor, they can provide advisory services, plan and predictive maintenance as well as building asset audit and maintenance training on DIY techniques or do-it-yourself techniques. Other than that, how about the contribution of building surveyor in building dilapidation and condition survey? It will involve a purchase, rent, lease, sell, take over, redevelop, construct new buildings and conservation works, and also asset maintenance. As a building surveyor, they can able to determine actual physical value, condition of the building and surrounding, and plan for remedial works. Costing and maintenance program as well will be one of the main benefits of having a building surveyor. In addition, as a building surveyor, it will provide added value and value for money, and assist in cost planning for client or developer or purchaser or government in order to establish a good building asset assessment. Last but not least, for occupancy, post-occupancy evaluation, the involvement of building surveyor is during occupancy period in use. A building surveyor will determine a building performance, safety and health of the building users and usage level. Furthermore, for post-occupancy evaluation, the enforcement of COB of Commissioner of the Building, compliance to the building laws and risk assessment, and building audit works will facilitate and protect public or stakeholder interests in order to have a good building performance. And now, let's focus on the building surveyor scope of works. As outlined by Royal Institution of Surveyors Malaysia (RISM), building surveyor scope of works can be categorized under 5 categories. First, building control administration, which to scrutinize of all building plans, imposing and enforcing of legislative requirements, inspection of building works, and coordinating the process of conservation. Number 2, development and construction management. A building surveyor will focus on analysis and feasibility studies and project management, as well as quality of the construction. Next, for building works, a building surveyor can advise on alteration, extension and refurbishment, as well as offer a diagnosis of the building defects and advice on remedial works. The fourth one, maintenance of the buildings. A building surveyor has the ability to plan and implement of day-to-day maintenance or regular inspection or regular maintenance. Other than that, they are able to repair and make a dilapidation advice for those particular buildings. And last but not least, a building insurance. Building surveyor are able to assess of replacement costs and preparation and negotiation of insurance claims. So this is 5 main BS scope of works which is outlined by RISM. The next slide will focus on building surveyor roles and responsibility. As mentioned earlier, a building surveyor has played an important role during construction stages. Pre-construction, during construction and post-construction will make a building surveyor is a hot profession in the market. Let's take a look one by one. For pre-construction, the roles and responsibility of building surveyor is to inspect and recommend building plan approval. Then, for dilapidation and building condition survey, as well as site safety and health inspection. During construction period, a building surveyor will focus on site and construction quality inspection. Furthermore, they are responsible all the building works comply to the approved building plans by local authority. Then, a building surveyor also have an ability to make an inspection for issuance of CCC or Certificate of Completion and Compliance, which is fulfillment of all the building laws. For the post-construction, all the building surveyor are able to monitoring of all building performance, maintenance management, post-occupancy evaluation, building audit and inspection defects, building conservation and restoration works, risk assessment and monitoring demolition works, management and maintenance of common property, and work as of JMB or Joint Management Body, which is under COB or Commissioner of the Buildings. This Joint Management Body or JMB was involved in the strata property. With a clear rules and responsibility, hopefully a building surveyor can protect a public and stakeholder interest as to get a good building performance. Next, we will focus on statutory legislation and regulation. For your information, here are some of the regulations that closely related to the building surveying practice in Malaysia. Let's take a look one by one. First, CIS 7 2014 or QLASIC. CIS is the acronym of Construction Industry Standard, which been produced by Construction Industry Development Board, or known as CIDB. Generally, QLASIC or Quality Assessment in Construction is a system or method to measure and evaluate the workmanship quality of the building construction work based on CIS 7. With the deadline of doing it right the first time, QLASIC will play as an important role to protect public or stakeholder interests. Same goes as building surveyor tasks. Other than that is MOF registration. MOF stands for Ministry of Finance, that already approved a BS code effective 2nd May 2012. With regard on that approval, all the BS consultants are allowed to offer their services to the community. The third one, Local Government Act 1976, which is Act 171. Next, Strata Management Act 2013 and regulations, focusing on Section 52, which is appointment of registered architect, engineer, QS or BS by commissioner. It shows that the BS has played an important role in construction industry. Meanwhile, RISM through BS division has also issued a BS CPBS, which is Code Practice for Building Surveying 101, 102, and 103. This code of practice will be a guidance to all building surveyors in doing their job. Now, we are focusing on resources available. If you want to have some extra reading, let's refer to the resources available, which is RISM Slide 2019 and Peter Glover 2018, which produced by Rattle H. You may also refer to the link given, which discuss what is the Chartered Building Surveyor by Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyor, RICS.